As a young boy, old folks thought I was cool. I did good in school, so mama let me bend the rules. I grew up with an attitude to do just what I choose.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Shooting the Shit. I'm Sean Gregoire, Pat Hardy, my co-host, and Bradley Smith Boys making us look great as usual. We have another show falling into the end shit category. Sports are involved, but kind of tangentially. And to be honest, sports are way less interesting than what's going on right now. Anyway, we're actively still in the pandemic. We still have protests rolling on. Police are still acting insane, and hopefully we can keep up the pressure so we can make a real change. Pat, how you doing, man?
I'm feeling very wiry right now. I'm ready to shoot at something, ready to tear something down. It might be the police, it might be all these frontin' ass uh, community activists. It might be some of these companies that is paying a lot of lip service but not doing no real work. We gonna get into all of it, but I'm feeling real active right now.
Well, that's awesome, and I do want to say something before we start showing earnest. I just find it really funny that once white people and everyone started joining the protests in the street, I think they expected the cops to treat them better or to treat them humanely.
Cops is gonna cop.
And yeah, once they started getting tear gassed and brutalized too, then all of a sudden it's, oh my goodness, the cops are really bad. Black people have not been lying for the past God knows how many years. So I found that funny, but we're going to roll into Kanye West of all people, pretty fitting for a sports show. And we're going to talk about him being a decent person for once. He actually donates $2 million to the daughter of George Floyd and her college fund, which is pretty amazing. And there are rumors that he faked his support for Donald Trump just to free innocent people from prison. And if that's true, that's pretty amazing. That's a really long play for a pretty great cause that I can normally get behind. If the president was just a regular Republican and people just broadly disagree with what he did, I'd be screaming Kanye's name from the rooftops right now. I would have a Kanye party because that is unbelievable. Unfortunately, he kind of gave credence to someone who's trying to become a fascist. So I have to go from full celebration to, all right, I'm less mad. I get it, but you still messed up pretty good. But it was a well-intentioned error, which I do all the time, and that makes it more of a forgivable error as opposed to Kanye, you're unforgivable. I'm gonna have to burn your shoes. So, Pat, how you feel about everything going on with Kanye? Have you researched that at all?
I did a little light research. Full disclosure, I am a Yeezy's my guy. I'm a huge Ye fan. I have soured over him a little bit over the entire the Trump debacle, but being a Ye fan, we always trying to reason his activities and try to find a reason for why he's doing what he does. Obviously, if you're a real Ye fan, the reason Ye follows Trump is because Ye sees a lot of Trump in him, and Donald probably looks at Kanye and sees a lot of Kanye in him. So I don't think the love was fake. I think there was true admiration between the two. I think that they are similar individuals, minus some of the pedophilia and womanizing things that Ye, I think, has separated himself from throughout his career. I think that I'm not going to give Ye that much credit for being this cunning and this masterful at playing a chess game. I think it's a rumor. I don't think that there was anything behind him using Trump. I think that there's a real friendship there. I think the smartest person in the room behind all of this is not Donald Trump. It's definitely not Ye. It's Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian took the opportunity to say, well, if Kanye is going to forge this relationship with Donald Trump, that's completely against what I believe in, I might as well get some while I'm here, which is what they've been doing with their relationships and their business moves pretty much since day one. They've used whatever gifts they have, whatever opportunity they have to advance themselves primarily. But in Kim's case, I think she's the mastermind behind whatever influence you think Ye was using to get Trump's ear. So I want to believe Ye played all of us and he really didn't put the MAGA hat on, but he put the MAGA hat on. We all saw it. And we all know why he put it on. He's not going to get any credit. If I'm going to give anybody credit, it's going to be Kim Kardashian. And it's about time they use their powers for black people as opposed to sucking the life force out of black men and then leaving them and their careers in their Kardashian wake.
The curse.
Exactly.
Yeah. By the way, Pat, congrats on getting the haircut. Bradley's not on screen right now, so congrats on him getting multiple haircuts through whatever underground means they use in the South. I have not been that fortunate, so the hats will continue because not having on YouTube looking crazy. And yeah, it's really funny. Kanye just, of course, we all think Kanye is smarter than he probably is, and Kim K probably comes out as the winner of all of this, if only because she didn't wear any hats. She just leveraged whatever relationship was there to basically advocate for innocent black people in jail, and I can't really find anything wrong with that. I'll try, but if someone can inform me of something wrong with what Kim K did, of course we can find a bunch of stuff wrong outside of this specific case, but here she was good, and people aren't perfect. There's some good, some bad. So we can say, hey, I don't like a lot of the stuff that Kim K did in the past, while saying this was very good. With that said, we're going to roll into corporations and their messages during this during these protests. I think Pat and I are on the same page. I'll just say my piece right quick. I don't believe them. This is not something that just started happening. This isn't something that even started happening in 2009. This has been something that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was talking about, something that Bill Russell was talking about. Basically, as long as it's been influential black athletes, there have always been cries for help with solving police brutality and the racial divide that exists here. And saying Black Lives Matter is cool, but say why you're saying Black Lives Matter. And while you're at it, show me your executive and managerial boards. Show me your voting records. Show me your community investment since all of your profits come from the labor and influence of Black people and minorities everywhere. And the funny part is, money isn't even that impressive for me, even though I appreciate them donating to the causes, because they can write that off on their taxes. It's not hurting them to send money. They're actually incentivized to send money all the time. And they can do that all the time and not just when it's important for their brands. All that to say that I think that the vast majority of them are cowards, but there isn't anything new for me. The corporations, they're always about their bottom line, and they're always about doing the as little as possible to make money and to invest in brand. So go for it.
Yeah, I need more. Obviously, everyone is appalled at the murder of George Floyd. We wanted to hear this 4 years ago when it wasn't popular to say. We wanted to hear you when you had something equitable to lose. Not saying that Nike is more courageous than anyone else because they couch their entire Kaepernick marketing on business principle, but
Right.
Nike had more courage than any other company out there when they took on Kaepernick when it wasn't safe. I won't even say it wasn't safe when they did that because they had already had marketing research show that Kaepernick was going to we, the black people, were going to support Kaepernick and give them money, whatever they did with Kaepernick.
Yep.
Do this when it's uncomfortable. Do this when it's not considered safe. Nobody disagrees. Well, I hope nobody disagrees with the murder of George Floyd. This is an easy one, folks. Do it when you can't point to, oh, yeah, that's wrong. We don't support that. Do it when we tell you to do it the first time, when there's real equity in the game, something that you can lose. Because Kaepernick lost his career. Eric Reed damn near had to fight halfway around the world for his career before he got signed.
He's cut again, by the way.
And he's out of the job.
Yeah, he's done.
So they damn near caused the players to fight amongst themselves with Malcolm Jenkins and Eric Reed and everyone standing on one side or other of the argument when it was something worth fighting for. Not to, create an error that it's not worth fighting for now, but it's easier to get behind it with everybody saying it, because now there's been an event that lends itself to evidence that, hey, maybe we were wrong. Well, I think it's pretty proven that Kaepernick, I'll go back before Kaepernick. I think it's pretty proven that whatever Muhammad Ali was talking about in the 60s was pretty damn right. As you mentioned, Bill Russell, Lou Alcindor, now Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jim Brown, they had a summit when Muhammad Ali took a stand against America at one point in time, and nobody was behind Muhammad Ali except for black people at that time. And very forward-thinking whites that were able to step outside of their experience and say, hey, maybe he's right about not wanting to go to this war. Look at how they're treating black people here. Maybe we should fix this instead of trying to force people to fight in a war that they don't believe in. Muhammad Ali had a really great quote, and it was it impressed upon me the need to say this, because yeah, it's great that all these companies are putting money behind it, but we need to see actual change. We need to hear this same, we need the same energy a year from now, 2 years from now, when it's not sexy to say racism is wrong, Black Lives Matter. Because right now, Black Lives Matter, racism is wrong is the trending topic. But Muhammad Ali said 50 years before he was born, a white man sat his granddaddy down and said, it'll be better for your son. Then his granddad's son, which is his father, had a white man say to him, oh, it'll be better when your son's born. Then Muhammad Ali's born, and he had a white man sit him down. And they looked at Muhammad Ali and said, oh, it'll be better when your son's born. And here we are, 60 years later, and it seems like we're fighting the same fight. And I'm sure at some point in time, everyone said, oh, that's not right. Black Lives Matter. Oh, that's not right. We need equality. Oh, that's so wrong. And here we are, all this time later, and that lip service ain't gonna get it done. So forgive me for being a black man and not really believing what I'm hearing right now. I want to see it. I want to see it when it's not sexy. I want to see it when this all boils over, when sports is back and you're equally involved in some other trending topic that's taking some of the life away from this movement. I want to feel what you're feeling right now. I want that same energy when it's not sexy. That's where I'm at with it. I don't care when you turn Call of Duty on and they have a message there, because those kids are still going to go in the chat room and say nigger when the game starts. So, that doesn't move me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I hear you. You have no reason not to be a cynic, because cynicism is the only thing that's kind of kept us going from getting crushed when this is just another thing that happened in 2 weeks. And hopefully I'm wrong about that, but stuff is already dying down. People are already trying to get back to normal. There are actual protests where there are plants up there trying to diffuse tension and trying to call for a kumbaya, where we don't need a kumbaya right now. We need action.
Absolutely.
We need the decisive, real, lasting action. And we have to do better than Black Lives Matter or doing a stupid black screen on a Tuesday, which was absurd.
And on top of that, all this police officers kneeling with protesters,
Oh God.
Miss me with that too. Don't kneel. I don't want you to kneel. I want you to stop killing us. I want you to stop shooting innocent black men in their face when they're reaching for their wallet. I want you to get your knee off of their neck when they can't breathe for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. I want you to not kneel. The kneeling's not for you. The kneeling's for
Yeah,
us.
yeah. No more kneeling.
Right. You
Make
don't
all
get
your
to come
arrests on
in.
2 feet, buddy.
You don't get to come in and say, "Oh yeah, kneel," and then put your hand on your pistol when you're pulling a man over for a traffic infringement. We want you to change. We don't want you to kneel. That's not what we want to see from you as police officers in the police department. We want you to be better. So,
I want it to be gone, but that's a whole different conversation. We're just going to move on to HBCUs and Mikey Williams. So lucky us, we talked about this last week, and we talked about the ramifications of real talent going to an HBCU and seeing how that will affect the broader landscape of college basketball. We might find out. Mikey Williams, the best sophomore in the nation, seriously considering going to an HBCU for college. And I really do think that would be massive. And everyone, if you haven't YouTubed Mikey Williams yet, sophomore from San Diego, that guy has easy bounce. He has the type of bounce that it's freakish. He's 6'2", and he can probably put his arm in the rim at this point. He is just an incredible, remarkable athlete. And I think that it will be massive. I really hope that he's serious about it. And one thing about these kids, I'm basically old now. Pat, you're old now. And I'm always gonna clown the kids for their lack of social skills because it's really funny that they can't look you in the eye. But they are so aware of their power at such a young age, and they aren't afraid to use it. And I wish that more of the athletes in our generation had that. It's something that I applaud for. It's something that I truly admire about them. And they just seem like a lot of them get it. And as far as the team goes, because it's not just Mikey Williams, there were a couple of top 100 guys who joined the bandwagon and saying, yeah, I'll play for HBCU. Why not? Like, I'm going to go to the league anyway. If you have rolled the ball out talent for a few years anywhere, you're going to be competitive. It can change everything. And here we are. Like, can you imagine Mikey Williams and a couple like maybe the number 10, number 15 guy going to Howard or Hampton, whose athletic director says something really disappointing, but I won't go into that. And just having that campus jumping and having ESPN giving them all that exposure. And I really want to see what HBCUs do with that opportunity, because they're really good institutions that don't get the support they need. And they're trying to make it up with charging crazy expensive tuition prices, which isn't going to help. It's just going to alienate more people. And you're gonna basically cut out the everyman, the person that the college was designed for, and you're going to attract the types that really don't need the help or the opportunity, the types that will get the opportunity anyway. So I'm interested in what you have to say about that, Pat.
absolutely. I've actually had a chance being out here in Phoenix, Arizona, to catch Mikey Williams up close and personal a couple of times.
Yeah.
I have a nephew that plays on the AAU circuit that's also a freshman, rising sophomore. I like Mikey's game a lot. And it's crazy. He's 15, so he's only going to get better. I think that there's a lot of untapped potential in his game physically, because they're still maturing at this age.
Probably has a spurt.
I think he does. I don't know what his family looks like, or what the stature of them, but he might have some more physical maturing to do. But this is a really mature statement from a 15-year-old, a really well thought out idea that he had. And because we're old, obviously, I want to give some credit to the parents, because this isn't. I personally believe in Mikey. If you're a watcher, tweet at me, let me know if I'm wrong. But I personally believe this is an idea from the parents, and he's on board with it. Like you said, he understands his social media power, so he took it upon himself to use his following to put this idea out there. Again, like I did last week, I'm going to take this moment to bang on HBCUs for a little bit.
Go for it, sir.
Let's talk about who Mikey Williams is for a second. Mikey Williams has been an online sensation. Again, I might be a little closer to it because I'm on the West Coast, but I've known about Mikey Williams since 7th grade, 8th grade. During the time that Mikey was going through the middle school AAU circuit and absolutely slaughtering everyone, there were rumors that he could go to X big powerhouse high school factory in Southern California, that he would go to this private basketball powerhouse to further his potential to land in the NBA. During his 8th grade year, it became pretty apparent that Mikey was not going to a basketball powerhouse. Mikey was going to his neighborhood high school because he said, and I'm going to try to quote him as closely as possible, he wanted to put on for his hometown high school. He didn't want to give his talents to a powerhouse. He wanted his neighborhood school to be great. At that point, with Mikey being one of the top 2023 kids in the country, for me as a recruiter, as a coach, I'm looking at a kid who's really in touch with his image, in touch with his neighborhood, in touch with his culture. He doesn't want to just go to a Sierra Canyon with Bronny and at the time Zaire Wade. He doesn't want to go to, any of the Southern California powerhouses that are just turning talent out. He decided to stay in San Diego and put on for his neighborhood school. HBCU should have saw that as a flag and be like, okay, maybe there's a little more to this kid. Maybe there's something else that's driving him aside from just getting to the league. Maybe
his parents met at Hampton.
Exactly. Exactly. Maybe we should jump on this kid early because something like this could happen. But here's where I don't really give HBCUs a lot of credit. He had offers from half of the Pac-12 during his freshman season. So he's a top recruit already. He's going to be one of those kids to watch. He's going to be able to pick wherever he goes.
Yep.
No HBCU had offered Mikey Williams until he made this tweet, until he went to social media and said, hey, going to a HBCU might be kind of cool. It was then at this point that several HBCUs, 8, I believe, made the offer. So you're saying that one of the top talents in the entire country had to beg you to offer him. Why wasn't he already on your radar? Why do we not feel like, when I say we, I'm speaking on HBCUs, why do we feel like because he has this attention already that this wouldn't be an opportunity for him? I hope this is a wake-up call that they just need to be in the game, whether it's send a letter, have somebody tweet at him, say, hey, we don't have a big budget to bring every recruit out here, but the ones that are high quality, maybe we should try and get a big one. That way they talk about us and other kids think it's cool to maybe look at us as well. They should have been in the game just based on some of the things that I saw. They weren't in the game until he said, hey, come get in the game. He basically asked the girl to ask him out.
Yeah.
She's been looking at him and she's been writing him I love you letters and trashing them before she sends them. And he basically looked at her and said, send the letter, send it through. I'll look at it. If you show interest in me, I'll show interest in you. There should have already been a level of interest there because they should have this mindset that they want to compete regardless. But again, like we said last week, I think that that's a mindset that has to change. Mikey Williams very well could end up at a HBCU. I personally believe that he's going to be one of those G Leaguers. And I think the G League is going to suck the life out of the college, college hoops specifically.
Good.
But that doesn't mean that the kids that aren't going to be lottery picks don't need to have a place to go. They're going to need to show up somewhere because everyone's not going to go in the first 2 rounds of the NBA draft. There's going to need to be some secondary level where they can go and play, and HBCUs can capitalize on that. Mikey might start a trend with another kid that wasn't thinking about it and be like, hey, maybe if I'm going to be a one and done, maybe G League's not going to be my path, but I'm going to be a one and done. Why don't I take my talents to Texas State? Why don't I take it to Delaware State? Why don't I, explore some of these other options outside of a PWI and see where it goes?
Yeah, so great job, Mikey. 15, altering the landscape of college sports from your thumbs. Pretty impressive stuff. Again, I'm so old. I couldn't imagine this when I was 15, Bayer 2002. I was too busy being shy to girls. So I pretty awesome how far we've come. It's pretty crazy, pretty incredible for me. So way down on our docket list for today, the NBA's coming back. Yay! Great. We're back. Cool. I never thought that I would be so unenthused about the NBA coming back. There's so much going on, and I feel like I need to tell my favorite league and my favorite sport in the world, read the room. I, I think it was episode one or two where I talked about my concerns of the NBA coming back without a contingency plan, and again they haven't had any plans that would talk about what happens if somebody gets COVID, what happens if a team gets COVID, what happens if multiple teams gets COVID, what happens if someone dies from COVID, what if someone's mother dies from COVID. Florida's ICU beds are about to be booked to the brim, and we're talking about having basketball at Disney World in a couple of months. I think our priorities are a little messed up in that regard. I feel like there is a blatant disregard for the safety of the players in order to fulfill their TV contracts, and that bothers me. And before you go, Pat, I do have a nice message for all the bloggers and the tour NBA guys. You know who you are. I'm not going to mention names because I don't follow you anyway. They were quiet for the past week and a half about George Floyd getting murdered and everything that happened afterwards, but everyone magically found their passwords once they announced that the NBA is back. Stay out.
We don't need you.
We don't want you. We don't need you. My favorite Coach Singletary quote: "You can't coach with him. You can't play with him. You can't win with him. Stay out. I don't need you types profiting from a black sport. I don't care if you're young, if you're just trying to get in. I don't care if you're old and you've been covering the league for 3.5 decades. Go cover baseball. Baseball will love to have you. But we don't need you profiting and making a living from a black sport while you don't care about what's happening to actual humans playing the sport and the people who look like said humans playing the sport. Hamstray, you are not that fucking important. We can get videos from everywhere. Have you seen Instagram? Have you seen Twitter? Everyone steals the same crap anyway. Like we'll be able to see highlights. We'll be able to see videos. We know where basketballreference.com is to look up advanced stats. I can still get a Sanjay account. I still have friends there. We don't need you. We don't want you. And please go. Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. And I hope everyone unfollows you and you have to be a hockey fan or something. But please stay the fuck out of our league. Go, Pat. I had to get that off my chest.
Appreciate that. To piggyback off what you just said real quick, we're all about the culture. Don't profit from us and then ignore our pain, because
fucking vampires, man.
I hope the NBA players take the same stance as well. I know that DeMarcus Cousins got some very, very long payback on an old reporter some years back.
Baby.
I love it. I'm here for it. So, I hope that's the type of energy they're on. So, with that being said, my friend, we're going to split here in our thoughts on the NBA. I think the NBA is one of the most well thought out, well governed leagues between the management side being the Adam Silver side and the player side being the players union side. I think that they're probably the model for what every sports league wants to look like. And I can't imagine that they're going to go into Orlando without some type of contingency set up for any of the aforementioned incidents or issues that you listed. I do believe the players want to play. I've seen many podcasts, many quotes, many lives from players stating as much. I think that you can expect for there to be some virus issues. Just looking at what's happened with college football and some of the college teams that have gone back that have reconvened and experienced, some of their own issues internally. So I don't think that it's going to be something that you can plan away. So I think that they have to look at this, and I think that they have looked at it and kind of accepted the fact that, yeah, we're going to have some cases, but ultimately we can still put a great product out on the floor. And I don't think that the NBA would roll out on the floor at the angst of their players. I think this was something that everyone's agreed on. I think that all the concerns that you mentioned, Sean, have been or would have been addressed in a meeting that the players held, and they all said, let's go for it. So let's go for it. Maybe there's some urging at the offices of the NBA saying, hey, we got to get this money, our contracts for local TV, whatever the case is, the business of basketball. We want to make sure our interests are covered here. But I think that if the players really felt unsafe about it, there would be no talk of NBA returning at the end of July. So I think this is something everyone's agreed upon. I think they're all well aware of what could happen, and they're okay with it because I think that there may be a plan in place from the NBA and the players. So,
well, I think that plan is hope. And let's talk about some of the things that possibly could happen. Because you said that some players might get infected and they'll have to kind of be nimble and agile. All right, cool. What if LeBron dies? Was it worth it? Kawhi dies from the virus. Was it worth it? Pop dies from the virus. Was it worth it? What do we do? Well, I know what we're doing. And of course the players are going to want to come back. It's what they do. Like, they're not speaking from a logical kind of neutral standpoint. Like, this is how they feed their families. And they have free will. They can do it. But I feel like there's an immense pressure to come back, and kind of a cover up of how dangerous this virus is in order to facilitate them coming back. And I don't think anyone has really asked what the price is, because I think they're still in denial that they could be the ones paying for it. I think that's where it comes from. LeBron is in peak physical shape. He's 34, super healthy, but crazy things happen. And of course, like, he's trying to get ring number 4. He's not trying to hear none of that. And I get it, I understand, but he is not an objective party here. Like, he's not. And like, he's entitled to his opinion. He's done so much for so many people, and I totally get from his standpoint, but we're going off hope. And again, I hope that nothing happens. Like, this is the last thing I want to be right about. I'm not going to do a victory lap about, oh, Kawhi's in the hospital in critical condition. Oh, I told you, like, this is not something that I'm going to celebrate by any means. But I really hope that the NBA really thought about that and how they're going to look if they rolled out product like this and people are literally dying in the prime of their lives, or people's mamas are dying. And it's, again, we'll see. I'm going to watch. Don't worry. Don't fret. I'm not making any grandiose statements about striking the NBA. Yeah, I'm I'm gonna watch my ass off. I miss it, but word. All right. So the last thing we're going to talk about, my man, Cool Breeze, Drew Brees, and Jake from State Fromm, my guy from Georgia, and Drew. What statement is he on? Number 5 now? Was it 3, 4?
I believe he actually just apologized. See, I think I actually got a direct text message from him. He got all the black people's numbers in America, and he sent them a special text.
Good for him. Just a regular John Brown. Yeah. Oh, Drew. It's you can tell that he's not really on social media like that because he just played his greatest hits in the initial statement. He just did the the flag and the troops and the flag and the troops and the flag and the troops. And I'm sure he was so surprised when he was like, nah, bro. Everyone was like, no, that's not going to cut it this time. And we have to kind of accept that he is who he is. That he's a staunch Republican. I don't think that he realizes the danger that Trump holds for this country. Either that or he doesn't care because he is a millionaire several times over at this point. And I don't need nothing from him. I don't want to see how performative he gets. I don't want to see him wearing kufis on the sideline to know that he's in solidarity with his black teammates, which is the only reason he did this. His locker room was about to revolve on him. I think that was the button that was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I should not say this because he knows where his bread gets buttered for real. And a quick thing about protests, because I get this a lot in the military as well. And when someone tells you that they're fine with protests, but only a certain type, the translation is that he likes protests that he can easily ignore, that he cannot care about, that he cannot see. But guess what, guys? That negates the whole point of a protest. So basically, you're saying that you don't want dissension in a nice way that sounds smart to others, but it is dumb. At the very least, I see through it, and you're going to have to play another song because that one isn't working anymore. Go ahead, Pat.
I'm just amazed at how Drew Brees is in a locker room that's 70% black over the course of the last 4 years. And he's supposed to be the leader. He's supposed to be connected to his team. They show him always doing his chants and leading the team. And he's supposed to be the guy. He's supposed to be New Orleans' voice. And he's disconnected from what the initial idea and the purpose of the kneeling was. He still fundamentally disagreed with the kneeling, given all the information that we've all received over the last 4 years from the many players that stood in solidarity with Kaepernick, the players who didn't necessarily stand in solidarity with Kaepernick, but also wanted to protest in their own way outside of kneeling. All of this since 2016. And when you talk about protest, that's the first thing you want to say. Oh, I don't agree.
He doesn't care. He doesn't give a shit.
And I think that we have to take that he doesn't care about the protest. This is a 41-year-old man. This is, by all accounts, a very intelligent man. I think that in order to play quarterback, you have to be intelligent. In order to be as successful as Drew Brees has been, you have to have some form of intelligence. So you're not going to sell me on the idea that an intelligent man misspoke when he's been doing this couched media training for the last 20 years of his life. He knew what he wanted to communicate when he said that statement. He was confident in that statement when he said it to Yahoo. He 100% believed in that. I think the apologies are coming from the place of, I don't want people to be upset with me. I don't want you to think that I'm racist. I don't want you to be angry at me. Um, I think we all have to take people for their word at this point. The only thing that I will do in defense of Drew Brees is say that I don't think he's a racist. I think he's extremely uninformed. I don't want to say that he doesn't care about black people, but in this particular,
I will. Don't worry.
well, I'll let you handle that. I'm going to say I don't think Drew Brees is a racist, but I definitely think he's disconnected from the black reality, and it's crazy to me how that happens when you're in a locker room with some of the more vocal individuals in the NFL over the last 4 years. He was just a teammate with Malcolm Jenkins, and I'm sure Malcolm Jenkins not only blasted him on social media, but gave him a phone call and blasted him as well. And I think that Mike Thomas is as temperamental as he's been this entire offseason, really spoke to a lot of people's frustration. Is at this point, we don't care if you don't get it. We're going to do what we do. We don't care if you get it or not. At this point, if you don't get it, you're choosing not to get it because it's been clearly explained. And to that point, I'm really proud of Mike Thomas for speaking up for Drew Brees, but also being the piece for having the players put the video together that forced an apology from the NFL, which I think is extremely huge, whether it's lip service or not. But I think with everything that's happened with George Floyd, and I would be remiss if I didn't throw in another name, Breonna Taylor. Also, a story that's local to Arizona, but I don't think will remain silent for too much longer is Deion Johnson, a 28-year-old out here who got shot by state troopers while sleeping in his car. I think
We
that's
can't even keep up, man.
Yeah, I think
Fucking
that
unbelievable.
I think that when you say you don't put up with people disrespecting the flag, it's kind of a way of saying, hey, we don't care about your issues, and whatever you're doing is not as important as respecting the flag, when in fact we're asking for our lives, and you're telling us that ask for it a different way because the way you're asking for it isn't more important than this flag that is ultimately just a symbol for what America is supposed to stand for, not really, the baseline for patriotism. So again, I did want to end that on that note, saying that I don't think Drew Brees is a racist, but I think he's extremely out of touch with black people because he doesn't have to live in a black reality, and maybe outside of even being in an NFL locker room, doesn't have to interact with black people to get other people's perspective. But in saying that, with the Saints, I do think that was the spark. Mike Thomas was the spark. That incident was the spark that allowed the players to put together that nice video that pretty much summed up how all of us has felt since Kaepernick started protesting, and finally force some form of acknowledgement from the NFL. And if I'm going to give kudos to Mike Thomas and the Saints, I'm going to give kudos to Goodell for making his video and his response, and secretly and maybe not so secretly, big ups to Jigga. I don't think any of this happens without Jay-Z.
I think all of this happens without JC.
Well,
I think 100% of this happens. This might have happened despite Jay-Z.
Hey, but I think if we're gonna give big ups to everybody, I think Jay-Z being a maybe not a silent partner, but being a partner allows them that black voice in the room that says, "Hey, you gotta make sure you take advantage of this opportunity and move." Where in the past, I think the NFL would have just let this blow over and went to the coin flip and let the season roll without saying a word. So.
Yeah, Jay-Z. Well, I hope Jay-Z is okay. I hope that the millions of dollars that he's bathing in soothes him at night, and having Beyonce, that's all that matters. But he has done nothing, and I'm not even going to focus too many words on him. But how you feel about Jake Fromm being an elite white?
Hey, so
Not
there's
white,
this,
the creme de la creme.
it's funny you kind of got that air from him. I don't know if the team is in touch with, or I don't know if we're allowed to do this, being that we're not monetizing anything yet. But there was the QB1 show on Netflix that followed him during his high school journey. It had him and several other quarterbacks when they were making the leap from their senior year in high school to college, and you kind of got that vibe from him with his parents' home, and all the amenities that he's been provided growing up, and honestly, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised when I saw it. Maybe I'm in the minority that thinks that it was an innocent joke, and maybe he doesn't carry himself as an elite white, but once it's out there, you got to own it. I think he's owned it, but come on, man, get you some real friends. How your friends gonna put you out like that?
Hey, you know who doesn't think that James Fromm is an elite white? DBs from the SEC. And it was an idiotic thing to say, and good luck in the locker room. Hope you're better than what your tape showed in college. So with that said, we're going to get on out of here. Again, another heavy show. We're in heavy times. We're going to keep going until we see change. And again, if you're out protesting in the middle of a pandemic, which is ridiculous as is, please be safe. The cops will hurt you too. So please keep that in mind. And after the shock from your protests wear off, turn it into real action. Turn it into actual things and keep engaged and stay engaged. With that, I'm out of here. I'm Sean Gregoire. Pat Hardy, my co-host. Great job today. Bradley on the boards. Keeping us looking great as usual, man. And we are out shooting the shit. Thank you, guys.